All right, so I have here 3 very popular language YouTubers that have built a channel around language learning, 2 of them for learning German and 1 of them for learning Italian. So we have Maria from Deutsch mit Maria. A big applause, please. We have Katja from Deutsch für euch. And we have Lucrezia from Learn Italian with Lucrezia. And my name is Gabriel Gelman, and I will moderate this panel today, and I will ask them about their YouTube secrets. They all have round about 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, and all of that through teaching language. And at the end, do you hear me in the back? No? So maybe come closer. I think there's still a bit of space here.
Or even under the table.
Or even under the table. All right, so who knew any of their channels before they came here?
Okay, the others
Most? Okay, and Maria just invited the others to leave the room. We will split this into 3 parts. I want to start with how did they get started, how did they build their first subscribers, how did they come up with the theme. The second part is going to be about how did they grow, how did they continue and became so big, and the third one is about monetization. Can you make money on YouTube, or how can you make a business out of that, or how can you make money online being an online teacher. And I would like to start with, maybe you can introduce quickly how you came up with your channel and how the idea came about and everything about that.
Okay, hi. Stuart? Yes. I started almost 4 years ago now, and it was my ex-boyfriend who gave me the idea to start a YouTube channel. He said, I teach guitar on YouTube. You can definitely start something like that as well. A year later, I had 100,000 subscribers. He had 500, and we split up. That was probably not the only reason why we split up, but why I did it, I thought, okay, I speak multiple languages. There are definitely people I can help with learning languages, so I should maybe record some videos with advice. It didn't work out at the time for me, but at some point I read a comment under one of my videos, and the comment was not from a friend or a colleague or a family member like the comments before. It was someone I didn't know, and he said, could you please explain the conditionals in German? And I was like, huh? My channel was called Sprachschulen mit Maria back then, so it was about general language learning. So I was a bit surprised, but I thought, maybe if I pay attention to what the people want, I will succeed more. So I started making videos about German, which I never intended to do before that. Okay?
You're good.
Happy now?
Yes.
Yes, so my name is Katja. I started 7 years ago, actually, or almost 7 years ago, which is a long time, I'm realizing, as I'm repeating this over the past couple of days. And I started just out of a general interest for languages and for making YouTube videos, because I'm a child of the internet. I grew up with YouTube basically from, let's say, within the first 2 years. And I always wanted to do something, and I never could figure out what about. And then it turns out it's best to do something about something you're passionate about, and languages have always been one of my favorite things, hands down. And German specifically, of course, it's my native language, so best teach what you know. And second of all, interacting with a lot of Americans and in general English native speakers, I always noticed a certain interest in German. So I figured, there must be people who care about this, and I've explained this to people in real life, so why not put it online, and people who look for it can find it. And that's basically how it started back in 2013, and I kind of started with things that I thought were basic. The first video I ever did was on the alphabet, because I figured you want to start where sounding German. And then I did stuff like, how do you say hi, how to say bye, how to count, etc. So I really started out with a basic idea of how to learn a language without really knowing anything didactically. I'm now studying to be a teacher, but I started doing that half a year after I started the channel. At the time I was studying law, which I soon noticed wasn't really my calling. So yeah, that's how I got started. I think everything else we're still going to get to, so I'm not going to babble on with that. But basically the takeaway I think is I cared about the main contributing factors: interacting with people, teaching language, explaining language, and making YouTube videos, putting myself out there.
Hi everyone. I started my YouTube channel when I was studying at university, so it was about 6-7 years ago, and I came up with the idea of putting myself on YouTube and creating content for Italian students or students of Italian. When I was actually trying my best to pass my liaison interpreting exam at university, because my friends and I were practicing watching YouTube videos in French and English and trying to translate them in Italian to pass the exam. And so I came up with the idea that content in Italian on YouTube could be useful for somebody, and also because there was a lack of content in Italian. So there weren't many channels about Italian language. There were a few, but not as many as, for example, for English or other languages. So I thought, well, I could try it. So yeah.
And then once you had the idea of this channel, you have to put it into place. Because I know a lot of teachers, they want to start a channel, they maybe even have a theme, but then how do you put this into practice? How do you start with your first videos? Like, you picked the alphabet, but like what comes as the second video or the third or maybe the 50th? How did you pick topics for your videos?
So like I said, I was paying attention, very close attention to what people were asking me. And what I learned very quickly is often what you think people need is not what people ask for. So I started making a mix of videos they asked me to make, because obviously those were topics which were difficult for them. And as I was teaching German classes at a language school, I also was collecting questions from my classes and basically adding videos to my offline classes, helping my students and multiplying this audience I had by, the people I reached on YouTube. Yes. Okay.
Well, like Maria said, I think that's generally a good outset. Know what you think might be useful, what you want to make, but also keep an eye on what people are asking for, because if they are asking for things, then that's one of the best sources of inspiration you can get. For me, especially when you start out, you don't necessarily have comments asking you for stuff yet. So at that time, I was basically just, sounds, saying hello. I don't know, at some point within the first year I made a video about swear words, because that's usually what people would ask me about once I talked to them and told them I was German. So that's also another thing. If you talk to people about your language, your experience, your culture in real life, you might get questions that just come naturally in conversation, and you don't even, make yourself aware that they might be questions that other people have. Generally for me though, I think a lot of my ideas come to me in the shower or in the tram or while I'm trying to listen to one of my classes. And a mistake that I'm trying to more and more avoid is to be like, okay, yeah, I'll remember that, because I always forget it. So if you get an idea, write it down immediately on your phone, on a piece of paper, whatever. Because some of my favorite videos have been based on ideas that I just got, one day, that aren't really necessarily even super structurally that you would find in a book or something. So I think that's another way, just to keep having good ideas, you need to go to the people that actually watch you, and you need to keep yourself interested in what you're teaching. Because if you lose interest, there's no point, right? And if you stay interested in it, and you keep thinking about it and reflecting on it, you're going to come up with topics that you may be able to offer a unique perspective on, and that you enjoy talking about.
So, the very first video I posted on YouTube was around Christmas time. So I thought, well, it's Christmas, I could talk about Christmas vocabulary in Italian. So that was my first video. And I think it's really important to be relevant with what happens in life on YouTube. So if it's Easter, talk about Easter in your language. And then, since I didn't have any videos on my channel, I had to start from zero. So I tried to cover the basics of any language, so alphabet, how to introduce yourself in Italian, and just trying to follow some kind of a path. But then I started receiving lots of comments asking me to cover certain topics, and then I thought that that was the best thing to do. So just film lessons according to what viewers or students wanted to see. So that is why my audience now is not really beginner level, is more intermediate advanced, because they know what they want to study, so they ask for what they want. So just read comments or just search the internet for inspiration, and also watch other people on YouTube, because you will learn a lot from watching and taking inspiration from other people.
I realize the microphone is not very good. Can you hear at the back? Yeah, okay, so maybe we need to talk up and more into the microphone. So you upload videos, and what happens then? I guess usually it's going to be crickets, so nobody watches any of your videos. So how do you get the initial audience attracted? How did you get your first subscribers? How did you get your first viewers? Did you do anything to get people to your channel, or did you just watch and wait for the algorithm of YouTube?
Well, in the first 6 months I was doing YouTube, I was doing pretty much work like watching other people's similar videos, and there is a very important thing you should never do, is post comments on other people's channels like, yeah, that's nice, look, here's my channel. This is like the worst thing you can possibly do on YouTube. This is really bad taste, and I always delete such comments, because I just think, come on, do some work, try harder. But what you can do, you can watch other people's videos and post useful comments, like reply to people's questions. That is not forbidden, but people notice you and they see, oh, okay, thank you, you answered my question. Oh, you have a channel, okay, I subscribe to you. But that takes a lot of time. What you can also do is follow all possible Facebook groups or Instagram channels, and just monitor them and see what they do, and comment there, and just, it can't be bought. What you gain through this kind of work, you can't pay someone to do it for you. So the first 1,000 of subscribers is really hard work.
I'm never sure whether I'm very qualified to answer this. You just wanted to do it to somebody else, huh? I'm never sure if I'm really that qualified to answer that question for nowadays, since my channel is now as old as it is, and YouTube was very, very different when I started. It wasn't nearly as crowded. The algorithm worked very differently. Other parameters were important, etc., etc., etc. And I've never been good at exploiting mechanics. There's people who are better at that. Exploiting, not necessarily as a negative word, since I'm seeing your expression there, but looking for what works technically and using that to your advantage. That is a lot of work that nobody will pay you for, and that doesn't work 100% of the time. But you can go that route. But I think especially nowadays what's super important is cross-promoting to different platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I think you all know what's there. Something I did that I didn't think would be as helpful as it was, I posted to Reddit at some point, because there's different subreddits for all kinds of topics, and there are subreddits for learning languages in general and learning specific languages. And I just posted my channel, and what's great about Reddit is that if the community is relatively small, you will have very close interactions with people, similar to what you would have in your own comments on the channel. You can answer questions, you can pick up questions that you're not necessarily getting yourself, so that's another source for topics. If you're not yourself getting suggestions and questions yet, you can go to already existing like Facebook groups or Reddits, subreddits, etc., and see what people are asking there and pick up on it. So I think the bottom line generally is try to find your, what you want to talk about and consistently make content. I think something I built audience with as well was just consistently posting every week and visually enjoying what I did. And that will also make other creators pick up on you. So it's not just you look at other people, it's also other people will start looking at you and maybe even mentioning you. So it's all constantly an interactive process. You need to stay interactive.
I agree with everything you said. Interaction is important, very important. You have to connect with people in like a positive way. So as Maria said, comments saying, "Oh, come check my channel," are not very nice to read. But then if you leave a nice comment on somebody else's video, it's nice. I mean, you just share some love and positivity on YouTube, which is always needed. And then consistency. So from that first Christmas video, I've never actually stopped posting on YouTube for 6 years almost. So consistency, even if it's just once a week, just keep doing it, because YouTube actually rewards consistency. So if you want to start a channel from zero, I recommend you have 6 videos already made, already ready to post, so you have 6 weeks already covered. And then you can start focusing on creating more material. And then also, I would think useful content is the key. So don't post for yourself or because you like that video. You have to make sure other people like that video. So useful content, consistency, interaction, and don't be afraid to ask to share your video. You just ask. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Because if people care about the content of the video, they will share it with their friends. So you just have to ask for what you want.
I forgot something. Collabs. Also, speaking to the interaction point, you're not going to be able to do collabs from day one, but I think it's possible fairly early, especially if you seek out other creators that aren't super huge yet. You know, if you're there with like 50 subs and then somebody else has, I don't know, 300,000, they're probably going to ignore you unless they're really, really nice. But you could start, yes, Maria is very nice. So you all remember that and you go write her a message.
Yep, please do.
No, she really is very nice. What was I going to say?
Collaborations.
Yeah, my thought process also just collapsed. Right, collapse. But if you contact somebody, if you're just starting out and you contact somebody with a couple of thousand subscribers or something, you have a good idea already lined up, I think that's always welcome because everybody's always looking for topics. So that's another way that can really, really help.
Now you all mentioned consistency, and building a YouTube channel is a lot of work. It's not like you do it a little bit and then it just blows up at some point. It's a lot of work. So how do you stay consistent? How do you motivate yourself, especially at the beginning where you don't see as much interaction, to keep on, and then even once you're through that, how do you motivate yourself to just continue with everything? And please speak into the microphone as loudly as possible so that people can hear.
Okay. So the question with how do I motivate myself? I guess I keep bringing the same metaphor the whole day today. It's like going to the gym. If you have decided that you need more muscles or you want to lose weight or whatever, you know that you're going to need consistency, and you have to do something, and you have to do it for a longer period of time. So it is absolutely the same. So no one expects to go to the gym twice and, oh wow, that looks much better, and now I'm happy with the results, so I stop going there. This is absolutely the same with your YouTube channel. And I mean, seriously, if you yourself can't motivate yourself, then you shouldn't be doing YouTube, because YouTube takes time. There's so many potentially great channels that stop working after the first 10 videos because they didn't become famous, so they dropped it. So I'm sure you know some of these channels that were like, the first videos were great, but then nothing else happened.
I'm actually horrible at discipline, generally speaking. I have never gone to the gym for longer than 2 months at a time. And I think that's okay too. That, for me personally, that just means that if I want a project that I stick with for a long time, because I really like starting projects, but yeah, that means that it has to be something that I really, really love and I really enjoy, and that I find things in that re-motivate me, which is a good key point for language learning, because I think that's also the same for learning a language, because you're going to have to stick with a language just like going to the gym for a long time to see actual results. And it's the same with producing content. I think it's also fine, YouTube is not going to, doesn't agree with this, but if you lose a week here or there, you're not going to lose all the progress you've made. The important thing is to not, which is also a tendency I think we all have, you skip 1 week and then you're like, oh well, now I might as well not do the one this week because I'm already behind in schedule. Don't do that. If you ever, I was going to say a very bad word, if you ever flunk, if you ever mess up your rhythm, or even a video specifically, or even if you ever lose your temper in the comments, whatever it is, move on, do it better the next time. And I think that is an important lesson that I'm still learning and relearning constantly, to be able to pick up where you are and start doing it there. Even if you haven't been consistent, even if you make those first 10 or 20 videos and you stop for like a year, you still have the channel, you still have more than 0, so just pick it up from there and then be consistent.
I think that consistency goes along with motivation, of course, as you said, and motivation is there one day and then the day after isn't there anymore, but you shouldn't fight it. So if you just lose the will to upload a video, it's fine. One tip would be to schedule, like your uploading schedule should be attainable. So don't start with the idea of, okay, this week I'll be posting 5 videos, because that's too much work and it's impossible. So just keep a schedule that is attainable for you, that is doable for you, because I mean, you have other things to do in your day, so just keep in mind your well-being before thinking about YouTube, because you are doing YouTube, so you are the most important person to look after. So if you just, as Katja said, if you skip a day or a week, it's not really important, because your channel is still there, and motivation will come again.
So now you're at it. You have maybe 10 videos, maybe 20, you have a few hundred or 1,000 subscribers. How do you go from there? Do you just continue with whatever you've been doing and then things just grow exponentially? Or what's that next phase from starting to becoming big?
Yeah, so if prayers and magic didn't work, you have to get down to real work. So basically what you do then, YouTube has wonderful tools for analyzing what is actually going on. So you have to get into analytics and see which of my videos performed best. What is the best time to upload a video? Which video titles worked well, etc., etc. So there you can find so many videos with really good advice on YouTube itself. So like how to make your video perform better, etc. So this is the boring stuff. And I know there are so many people who want to become YouTubers, but they say, yeah, but this analytics stuff, this is so boring. Okay, well, this is what you have to do at some point, or you have to find someone who does it for you. My best example is I stopped editing my videos at some point. For those of you who think, I might have good content and I can record videos, but I have no idea about editing, so I stopped editing whatsoever, and my videos started performing about 10 times better than it used before. So when I was spending, I guess, 5 hours per video for putting an intro in it, an outro, and some pictures, and I hated every second of this work, so I just stopped, and it works, obviously. So you have to see what works, what doesn't work, and if you don't like some part of the work, you can outsource it.
Well, did you get somebody else to edit for you?
No.
Okay. So I think that's the point. If it ends up working with editing, without editing, with using analytics, I don't think in my first 3 years I ever looked at analytics outside of going, and closing it. You have to get into it somewhat, at least at some point, and I agree, like if you want to optimize it, you're gonna have to deal with the numbers. But in all of this, with these general questions, I think one thing to always keep in mind is that you set your goal. You decide where you want to be. If you want to go for super optimization and I want to reach 100,000 within a year, or within 2 years I want to be at 500,000, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the higher your goal, the more you're going to get down into things that you don't really want to do, because all of us don't want to do something. If you just want to do what you enjoy, which is smart from a motivational standpoint, then you're going to have to deal with the fact that you might grow slower. If you want to grow quick, you're going to have to deal with the fact that you have to do all the stuff that you don't like. But talking about all of these optimization topics, maybe kind of going outside of what we're actually being asked. The whole thing with creator burnout and all that, that's actually been talked about by YouTube in recent times more, which is a good thing, is also something to not take lightly, I think. Everybody's resistant to different degrees, but don't work yourself to the bone just because you only focus on being successful, putting out 3 videos a week, etc., etc., etc. If you get to a point where you mentally can't do stuff anymore, you're not going to put up anything, you're not going to enjoy anything. So there you go. I've learned this the hard way in some regards. It's not fun, and it's definitely something to be mindful of. And I think doing the things that you enjoy goes a long way with that. If you can outsource, that's obviously the ideal solution, or find workarounds in other ways.
I think the growth of a YouTube channel really depends on the topic, and unfortunately educational channels are not really pushed by YouTube because they don't have as many viewers or as gaming channels, for example. But that being said, it's not a bad thing because you still get to create your own community. So the thing that is important to me is not really the growth of my channel in terms of numbers, but creating the community. Just talking to people, answering comments, and trying to bond as much as possible, of course, because you're not just chatting or answering messages, but you don't have to lose like the human part of the YouTube channel. So I think that is that. But the question was about consistency.
How to grow bigger.
Yeah, yes. What I said. I mean, you can grow bigger with the right topic. I think language channels, or in my case, a language channel about Italian language, I don't think it's going to go far in terms of numbers. I don't know.
There's a cap, you mean?
Yes, I think so. I don't know for sure. But for example, it's very different with a language channel about English, for example. There is English with Lucy. I don't know if you know her. English with Lucy. She has over 2 million subscribers. And it's great. She talks about English because English is more interesting to a lot of people. No, but that's true.
No, it is true, but it sounds so harsh.
It's not harsh. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the number of people who want to learn Italian is not near, like, in the slightest to the number of people who want to learn English. So in my case, that's absolutely true. Topic.
Could I add something?
Yeah,
quickly?
sure.
So what I hear very often is like, oh yes, I might have an interesting topic, but it's only interesting to me. How do I know if there are more people out there interested in what I'm interested in? Trust me, on YouTube, there's everything. I mean, try searching for the most crazy topics and you will find tutorials and explanations and whatsoever. So YouTube is great because you find an audience if you're patient enough, if you're passionate enough about what you do, and if you don't stick with perfectionism. So if you don't expect from yourself only perfect content. Nobody wants you to be perfect, because viewers are not perfect also. They want to see a human creator, so be the human creator.
I am the human creator.
So
I'm sorry.
you mentioned something that is a good segue into the next section, which is outsourcing. Now, to be able to outsource, you have to have money, and that's a very big topic when it comes to YouTube. How do you, and I know this is very different for the three of you, how to make money with YouTube ads or with sponsorship, or how to build a business out of it, or how to use that popularity to get students. So how do you monetize, and anything you can say about that?
Okay, so I started monetizing my videos with having a little bad conscience about it. So I was like, yes, but I mean, people don't want to see the ads. I hate the ads on TV, so why would I tease my nice audience with ads? And in the end, I thought, what the hell? I mean, they get content for free, and the only thing they have to do in exchange is click away some ads. So it worked. And the funny thing is, when I started using ads, I was earning nothing for, I guess, 6 months. Then I earned 8 cents. It was like, wow, it's actually money for my videos. And then I earned like 21 cents, and I felt rich. And then 3 or 4 months later, I earned 243 euros. And that was like, wow, okay, they actually pay me for that. So I still think it's probably the best option. So you're not asking the viewers to pay for your content. You can be free teaching anyone, and you're still paid for that. But you should never do content in order to get paid for it. It doesn't work. So I mean, if you're consistent enough, it will come eventually. But if you want to get rich fast, it's not the way. And another thing I do is membership on YouTube. I don't know if you have seen it, something similar to Patreon. Raise your hand if you know what Patreon is. Okay, so it's a platform where it is something like crowdfunding.
Maybe I can talk about that more because I do.
Okay, so you will. Anyway, it's a possibility for your subscribers to support you on a regular basis. So it's like a subscription, and for example, mine pay €5 or €4.99 a month. Those who want, and they get some extra features on my channel. And just to show you the scale, I have 190,000 subscribers, and I have 200 paying sponsors. So not that you think that the moment I started using sponsorship, 190,000 people said, yeah, we're going to pay for that, what you did for free before. Okay.
So monetization with ads, I think similar story for a lot of people. You start off feeling kind of bad about yourself. It's the same for both monetizing through ads, and I also was strictly declined all chances at sponsorship for about 2 years because I felt like I was too scared of the whole sellout thing, which also has grown, like the attitude in that has changed over the years just because of how the internet has developed, and YouTube especially. I think nowadays people are very much used to seeing ads, people are very much used to seeing sponsorships, and they don't think of it as like threatening or something to be super skeptical about anymore, which, you know, if you're honest, that's good. If you're trying to scam them, that's bad. But basically, the two most, I would say, consistent things initially, or the number one most consistent thing is ads. And it's completely okay to use them, and you should. And I had the exact same experience of like, whoa, there's actual money. I made $100 for 1 year of working, that's so great. And that's how you start, and that feeling is important, because if money is the thing that motivates you initially, you're not going to stick with it past 2 months, if that. So then, I don't do channel memberships yet, but I do something similar, namely Patreon. Patreon is a separate website. It's a crowdfunding tool. Many of you might know Kickstarter, which is also crowdfunding, but very different. How Patreon works is you make a page, you tell people they can donate or pay for your content either per month or per piece of content. So in my case, that would be videos, could also be texts or blog entries or songs or whatever it is. And then whenever you post, each person that has signed up to pay a certain amount to you pays that amount for each piece of content or for each month. And they can do that without any sort of incentive, but of course you want to get, you know, something extra for paying money, because, you know, that's just what we're used to on the internet. So you can set up rewards in the form of anything from a virtual hug to, some people do and it works, from a virtual hug to, you know, a live stream every month or every week, or extra content, scripts, pictures, whatever it is, right? Whatever your audience wants. And I like the idea of the scale, so I might give one as well. So I'm at, I think, 200 and something thousand right now, and my Patreon, I think there's a bit over 100 people actually on Patreon. So the conversion on this is going to be very, very small, but of course, you know, if every person pledges $1 or €1, whatever it is, you know, that's already worth a lot. So that's one, and then of course sponsorship deals, which are not going to happen in the beginning, but as soon as you get big enough for people to take notice of you, for you to be an asset for companies, usually they're going to approach you, but don't be afraid to, if you find something that you think you might be, you know, good for collaborating with, to write them an email and be like, hey, I like your product, I would like to promote you, I would like you to pay me this much. That sounds, to somebody who's never done it before, that might sound really cheeky to be like, hey, pay me money, you've never heard of me before, but pay me money. But if you know, if they get some sort of value from it, it's a win-win situation. So ads, sponsors, Patreon, or other crowdfunding tools, and something you didn't talk about. Did you not want to talk about your coursework?
You should.
If asked, I can.
Sorry.
So maybe another thing that might appear from your YouTube channel, you might decide at some point that you want to sell some products of yours. So what I did, I started creating online courses, video courses, based on my YouTube videos, but I wanted them structured. I wanted to give people more coaching that I could with free videos. So, and I was terrified of the fact that I had to ask money for that. And my first course was very underpriced, and I'm still friends with some of the first participants from my course. It was like family. And but it was a great experience, and I learned over the years that it's okay to ask money for your work. And probably if some of you do some creative stuff, you're always struggling with a question like, yes, I would like to teach, but how much money should I ask for it? And what is okay for the people? Don't care about the people. Care about what you need in terms of money, and then you name a price, and then your audience will get to it. And those who want your stuff, they will buy it. And those who don't want, they won't, and that's also fine. Okay.
So I use Google Ads on YouTube. So the ads you see on the videos or right before the videos. Then I use affiliate links for websites or online courses. An affiliate link is basically a link, and if you click on it and you decide to sign up on the website or the app, I receive a percentage. So that is a way to earn money on YouTube, because you just write the affiliate link in the description box under the video. And then I also teach privately on italki, which is a language platform, and I'm sure you are familiar with it. Do you know italki? Yes, okay. So because I like to teach privately, and I do it on italki. That's it.
What was, in your opinion, the biggest mistake that you made with the time that you've spent on YouTube? If you would have known that, it would have saved you a lot of time. Can you think of something like that?
I don't think so. I don't think I never made mistakes, but if I would go back 4 years and I would think what I could do differently, I would probably make different mistakes. So that was a path of learning, and I'm thankful for everything that I've learned, and I'm thankful for the future learnings I'm going to have. But if you give me a time machine and give me the chance to optimize something, it's like everything in life. You optimize one thing and something else becomes worse. So I don't regret nothing.
I don't regret nothing. Kind of same answer. Again, yes, it's not like you're not going to make mistakes, but it's important to make mistakes. It sounds like such a motivational poster mantra, but you can't succeed without making mistakes, because you need to learn. You can't learn without mistakes. So I'm trying to think really hard, but I think if there was something that I'm still, I would still think I'm doing wrong, is stressing out so much. Exactly because of those things, because you are in charge of everything. That's great, but it's also really, really stressful. You have to make all decisions. You have to decide how much you're worth. You have to decide how much content you produce. You have to decide how much time you invest, etc., etc., etc. And all of that is important, but it's important to center yourself if you want to be really hysterical about it. Stay focused on what you want. And if not constantly being a ball of stress is something you want, then prioritize that. So I think for me that's one of the biggest mistakes, losing focus of doing this because I enjoy it, and then everything else is extra. And I notice this every time I notice, this isn't fun anymore. And then I kind of have to, recuperate and figure out what's making it less fun, and how to change that?
One thing I regret doing is joining like a multi-channel agency. I don't know if you network, yes, a multi-channel network that allow you to monetize on YouTube. And I did it because I thought that I wouldn't be able to monetize directly with YouTube, which later on I found that it was actually true. That is the thing I regret the most, because these agencies sell you like the best thing. So they say, oh, we will promote your channel, we will help you with everything, and etc. But in fact, they do nothing but take a percentage on the very little money you earn. So that was a big mistake. But then I learned something, so that's useful. That was useful.
I do want to chime in on that, because I think that's very much depends on the network. I think there's a lot of scammy networks out there. We've had scandals in the past, YouTube of networks taking channels away from creators because they enforced some sort of copyright, etc., etc. So you definitely have to be really, really mindful. But it can help if you have a good network in organizing collabs, although better to organize the collabs yourself, of course. And especially in education, where you get a relatively low CPM, so how much money you get for 1,000 clicks. They can help improve that, they can help improve your channel rating, they can help you communicate with YouTube, all of that provided that you have a good network. So if you're going to join a network, which you don't need to do, don't ever feel like you need to, but if you want to do it, definitely do your research and read everything in the contract, because I agree that would be a mistake.
I guess we forgot one important thing, that YouTube supports you really well, I think. So when I passed, my experience, when I passed 100,000 subscribers, the one thing you get is the wonderful silver button you can put in your shelf and show off, which is really nice. The other thing is you get a call from YouTube, and it feels like it's Jesus calling you. Because I got this call like, yeah, this is the YouTube office in London calling, and I was like, okay, what did I do? They said, we want to support you, we want to help you, we have a partner for you, like a consultant who will answer all your questions and who will have one-on-one sessions with you over something similar to Skype. And they will talk over all those troubles you have, and they give you tips. So it's completely free. They really do that. I mean, they earn money with your channel as well. But I find it really nice that they do it. They invite you to the YouTube spaces, they're called. There is one in Berlin, actually, and I've been attending several events there. And they invited me to Next Up. It's something like a boot camp for young YouTubers. So like under 100,000, maybe if you have 10,000 subscribers, you can apply for the program, and they invite you to a boot camp. And I was invited as a speaker to speak to the younger YouTubers and give them my experience, which was really nice also. And YouTube Space has great coffee as well. So anyway, they support you really well. You say something about that?
Just something. So much about networks and YouTube. With networks, I think if you have a good one, until you reach that 100,000 subscriber mark, you get something like that, like a channel manager that can help you with that kind of stuff, before you reach the point at which YouTube starts caring about you more. So yeah, and of course you can keep that after 100,000, but if you have a good connection with YouTube, then you definitely no longer really need the networks. I think it can help before that, but that's just my experience. I think that's very, very different between creators.
Yeah. So like 2 weeks ago, I was assigned to a partner manager. So that was my first time joining the program, and I think they invited me to join the program now that I have more than 200,000 subscribers. Before that, or before a certain number, YouTube doesn't really support you. Yeah, so you are on your own, and you're tempted to fall in the trap of networks and other agencies. So just be careful if you want to start a YouTube channel. I'm not sure if any of you wants to start a YouTube channel.
Should ask that actually.
I will. That was my next question, so don't worry about it. Yeah, thank you very much, because that's the next question. Before I ask you, the last question is, who would like to start a YouTube channel but has not yet?
He's afraid.
Okay. Who already has a YouTube channel and wants to grow it bigger? Okay. And all the others are just interested in the general topic? Okay, then. Or
just
people
like
are just
crowded
sitting here
rooms?
and stuck.
It's so warm here.
Okay, so the next question, now I can do both, because I wanted to ask you for the most actionable advice that you can give that people can implement maybe tonight or next week. So what would be the most important advice that you can give to either aspiring YouTubers or people that already started on YouTube or people that are just by accident in this room?
Because they like the cozy warmth.
Yes.
So my advice is very brief. Just start. Don't overthink. Don't make a list of possible topics for the next 378 videos, because it's not going to work out. Make the first idea, draft it. Don't put down the whole text you're going to say. Just start. Show it to some nice people who care about you, but care about you enough to tell you the truth. The truth if it's really not good. But just start.
Like you're talking to me, because I'm the person who always does a list of the first 378 items to do. I don't know how I started with my channel with that attitude, but hey, so just start something great. This isn't, I didn't coin this, but I really like this phrase, just show up. Doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be optimized in every way. And never ever focus in on a single thing that you think, if I only can get this right, then I'm going to be, if I only have the perfect thumbnail, if I only have the perfect balance between how long my videos are, whatever. All of those things are important. All of the things we've mentioned are important, but the frustrating and at the same time great thing about doing online content is that there is no number one recipe. There is no cookie cutter way to do it, and then you're definitely going to be successful, because everything depends on who you are, what you do, the time at which you do it, how the algorithm of the particular website works at the time, and who your community turns out to be. So you just need to figure out what works for you, and that's going to take a while. So don't stress too much. That's basically my bottom line for everything, which I don't follow.
Yeah, so just turn on the camera and record, really, if you don't have a channel yet. If you do have a channel, just my tip or homework for today. Go look at the comments below your videos and just interact with the people who left a comment and just show some love.
You want to add something?
Yeah, just and don't be afraid to reach out, for example, to us here. I'm sure I'm speaking for all of you. If you can't sleep at night because you want to start a YouTube channel, but kind of you're not sure, just, I don't know, write me an email. I have a bunch of cards you can take and you can email me, and I won't charge you for that. I will just give you my honest opinion on whatever you have to share. So just do it.
Just do it.
All right. So this is the end of this panel. You can come later and ask any of these ladies any questions that you have. So please give a big round of applause to